is the time. والله أعلم. تفضل شيخ.
آخر من مات من الصحابة.
آخر من مات من الصحابة كما أجابه الأخ أبو طفيل. أيوة هذا مات على الرأس 110 سنة. 110 سنة 110 أيوة. طيب يعني ومنهم من قال 113. Some people say that Abu Tufail was the last of the companions to die. And they say he died in the year 110, some say 113. And from the last of them before, this companion, or of the famous companions, was Anas ibn Malik. He was the last of them who died in Basra, from the last of them to die in totality. Khair, inshallah. Next question before we move on. Anyone else?
Yes, with regards to the hadith, right? One of the most outstanding thing of the Holy Prophet Rasulullah was his covering of his head, right? A number of people have the misconception that that's only a sunnah. We'd like to clarify and make some...
As far as covering the head?
Yes.
Then there lies no doubt.
For the male. For the male.
Nah, we need to speak about it even for the female.
Okay.
Times we live in. A long time. The head of the Muslim, when they leave the house or leave their homes, we say should be covered. As far as a woman who's of age, she's pubescent, she's of the age of puberty, of adulthood, then she must cover her head and things besides her head as well, her neck, and the list goes on of things that she must cover. We don't want to get into the technical issue of the hijab. What is mandatory, what isn't. What is important is that the Muslim woman, at least, according to all of the ulama, must cover her hair. At least. As far as the Muslim male, then we say he doesn't necessarily have to cover his head, but it is something that the Prophet ﷺ did. And it wasn't something that he was known going outside with his head uncovered and his head exposed. Regardless, whether it was his custom, the customs of the Arabs, even to this day, they cover their heads when they go outside. For many reasons. Shyness, neatness, let alone the heat, the sun, the dust. Water was scarce, wash your hair, grease your hair, you don't want to get dust in it again. And just being in a presentable manner. So therefore, the Prophet ﷺ, we don't have too many narrations in which he left his home, he was seen by the Sahaba without his what? Without his head uncovered. With exceptions to making Hajj, making Umrah, things like this. Other than that, the Prophet covered his head. So therefore, my personal opinion, any imam of a masjid, he should always have his head covered, without a doubt. Someone who considers himself a student of knowledge, a disciple of hadith, he should cover his head, whether it's a kufi, quote unquote, a shimal, a scarf, a ghutra, a turban, even if it's a hat, a scully, a skull cap, whatever you want to call it, your head should be covered. And the reason why your head should be covered, especially with the Islamic head covering, because the concept of being distinct and your nature and your character and your clothes and your conduct is very important. Regardless of what the ignoramuses say today, Iman is just in the heart. It's not important to dress like a Muslim. Or someone say there's no such thing as Muslim dress. Wallahi, I've had conversations, I've heard people say this. It says there's no such thing as Islamic dress code. It said there's no such thing as dressing like a Muslim. People have said this, unfortunately. So therefore, we say that a man, he should have his head covered. I'm specifically talking about the student of knowledge. You should be shy, you should be humble, and it should be a means of completing your attire. You have a beard, a thobe, or a izar, or a qamis, whatever type of dress code you wear, African dress, whatever you wear that's Islamic and that's related to piety and righteousness, you should cover your head. And we've spoken on this issue many, many times. Allah is our witness, and the different benefits that we got from nothing else but just looking like a Muslim. Just looking like a Muslim. Everybody understand this? So that's my opinion with regards to covering the head. I didn't say it's mandatory. I didn't say it's haram to have your head uncovered for a man. I didn't say it's haram to have on a baseball cap. But I said it's best to wear an Islamic head covering. Whatever. It doesn't have to be a Khaliji, Kufi, from the Gulfs. La. Whatever you wear, there's what? Islamic. The Afghani caps the brothers wear. Our brothers from India, brothers from Guinea, from Gambia, from Ghana, from Ivory Coast. Whatever you wear, that is considered to be the dress of people of knowledge and piety. And there lies no doubt the non-Muslims, whenever they associate someone to righteousness and piety and knowledge, is going to be loose clothes. When they, waliyadhu billah, draw a picture of who they believe is Jesus, what is he wearing? Have you ever seen, quote, a picture of Jesus with pants on in the shirt? Never. It's not an accident. Rather, he's always wearing what? White. White clothes. Shiny, pristine, bright, clean, loose. The Virgin Mary, what they believe is the Virgin Mary, waliyadhu billah, what is she wearing? Loose clothing. Everybody understand this? A nun, a priest, a father, what does he wear? He has distinct clothing. And from the reasons why he has that on and he wears that is for him to be recognized among the people when they need guidance, when they need help. Because if he has on plain clothes, no one's going to know he's a special leader. So that doesn't even make sense. Those who say you can get on the minbar with pants and a shirt. Not saying that it's haram. Not saying that it's haram. As long as your odor is covered, as long as the pants are not beneath your ankle, as long as it's not pure silk, etc. etc. But we're talking about al-afdaliyah, that which is best, that which is ahsan. Everybody understand this? So therefore the head of the male should be covered. If you go outside and you don't have your hat covered, I'll still give you the salams. It's not haram. And it's also permissible to offer the salah with your head uncovered. And in many madhabs that state that you can't. That's not necessarily a strong view. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. This is in brief. Ikhwani, this is what? Brief. This is in brief. Wallahu a'lam. Fadal, Sheikh. I don't know what. Bismillah, Fadal. Nafis, I had some tea, Sheikh? Subhanallah. Starving me, akhi. Fadal.
Sheikh, I want to go back to something you said about the musnad. Of all of the things that I personally have a difficulty navigating and finding my way in is the musnad of Imam Ahmed, which is rich. My question succinctly is, have they come up with a faharis that enables the talib al-ilm to find his way?
Yes. With regards to navigating your way through the musnad, there have been many acts of service to this book. There's some of the ulama who explained the musnad and reorganized it, such as the father of Hassan al-Banna. Hassan al-Banna, great known, his father dealt with hadith, and he wrote a book called Al-Fath al-Rabbani. And the name of his book called what? Afwan, that's not even the name of the book. The name of the book is called Bulugh al-Amani bi Sharhi Al-Fath al-Rabbani, Tartib Musnad al-Imam Ahmed al-Shaybani. He wrote a book in which he explained his revamping of Musnad Ahmed. In other words, he came along, this man, he came along, As-Sa'ati rahimahullah, he wrote the what? Hey, we don't go too far. As-Sa'ati was one, and the father of Hassan al-Banna was another man. Al-Muhim, somebody came and he took Musnad Ahmed and he put it into what? Organization. He organized it according to the chapters of fiqh. Then another man came behind him and he explained that book. So any book that you're looking for, Hadith and Musnad Imam Ahmed, you can easily find it, just like the book of a Sunan, with the Sharh. Let alone the different prints of the Musnad Imam Ahmed. Was printed, okay, in 52 volumes, in 11 volumes, and in many other versions of Musnad Ahmed that all have the index, all have the fahris. Let alone the concept of Maktab al-Shamila, the computer software, the hardware, the hard drive, the search engine for the books of hadith. However, specifically, the Musnad Imam Ahmed has been recategorized, and that's the name of that book. Wallahu alam. Khayran, inshallah. Any other questions? Follow.
Away from the topic, Sheikh.
No problem.
And we're doing dawah. Frequently, people like to challenge the unbelievers, or to challenge the Muslim in the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's marriage of Aisha.
Okay.
What's the best way of addressing this from your perspective?
Question is, with regards to people mentioning the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's marriage to Aisha radiyallahu ta'ala anha, what is the best way of dealing with this issue? Alhamdulillah. Before we even go that far, a whole conference, we'll get back to that. What's important here is that it depends on who you're talking to. You're talking to someone who considers himself to be educated, someone who considers himself to be an intellectual, someone who is a person of religion, a pastor, a preacher, man or woman, so on and so forth, a bishop. Who you're talking to. If you're talking to someone of religion and spirituality, then the answer is clear. Let's look at the Bible. How many wives did this prophet have? How many wives did this prophet have? What is the age of marriage in Christianity? What do the Jews say about marrying a young girl? And it's all mentioned in their books. Many of them themselves don't even know about it. Let alone those who know but conveniently ignore it. So he says, once you've told me about what your scripture says about marrying more than one woman or marrying a woman who's relatively younger, then come back to me and we can talk about Muhammad. Everybody understand this? And it's not necessarily too okay, yani, whereas you say that you're contradicting yourself, so don't criticize me. But it's a concept of stopping the games. If marrying more than one woman or marrying a woman that was young, so yani, reprehensible and horrible, why is it in your scriptures? Everybody understand this? Let's do away with religion. No Muslim, no Christian. Be an atheist. He's not going to say that. Everybody understand this? That's one way of getting rid of that doubt. Make sense? As far as if someone who considers themselves to be intellectual and someone who considers himself to be educated, say, okay, khayr, inshallah. What was wrong with the Prophet's marriage of Aisha? What was wrong? Was it wrong because of the modern man-made laws of the Western world in the 20th century? How can you take Muhammad to court? He lived in a different time, a different place, a different culture. Every single thing about his lifestyle was contrast to America and to Canada and to the UK. So how can you take him to court with your jurisdiction and not his? Doesn't make any sense. We find the Quran, Allah, He speaks to the Prophet ﷺ. He admonishes the Prophet ﷺ. In several verses, Allah addresses the Prophet. He says, fear Allah. You are afraid of this person, Allah should be feared. Abasa wa tawalla. It's clear. So why did Allah not say anything about him marrying Aisha? The mushrikeen who called him a madman, a soothsayer, a crazy poet. He was a fool. He was a worshiper of the stars. He was this and he was that. Not once did they ever say he was an abuser of young women. Which clearly proves that in his time and in his region, his culture, what he did was what? One way or another. Everybody understand this? There's no way he's going to be able to get out of that if he considers himself to be an intellectual. Then the laws of this country. When was it considered to be unlawful to you to marry a girl that's 16 or 15? Was it always like that? Or was it the time in which the age was younger and the states different from the north and the south and the Midwest and the far west? And the list goes on. In other words, your whole argument is feeble. Your whole argument is feeble. You're attacking him upon something that is not agreed upon, in which the people themselves, Muslim and non-Muslim, have a great deal of difference upon. Last but not least, what happened to Aisha? If she was abused and she was taken advantage of, her parents allowed that to happen. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, according to the Muslims and the non-Muslims, was a wealthy man, a powerful man. If Muhammad took his daughter and abused his daughter, why would he support him? Or if Abu Bakr was with Muhammad in that act of crime, what about her mother? And the rest of Quraysh and Fulayl, and the list goes on, of inconsistencies that people cannot answer. They cannot answer. And if she was abused, how did she turn out to be from the greatest of the Sahaba? And knowledge, fiqh, and hadith. As we mentioned, the hadiths that she reported. And as we said before, how she clearly put forth her opinion against many other companions that had great knowledge, more knowledge than her. So anyone who's abused, waliyadu billah, and taken care of, it's well known how they live their lives and how they grow up. They don't have confidence. They don't have self-esteem. Many of them don't even excel in life. So it's logically, spiritually impossible for your argument to make any sense. That's what I would say. It depends on who you're speaking to. And the approach is different. There's some people that don't need these logical things. Just, you're talking to someone who's a Christian, who believes in Christianity, take him back to his scripture. Take him back to what his prophets did and what the people that you believe in. Everybody understand this? And the list goes on. Do you believe in creation or do you believe in evolution? Christian is going to say what? Creation. Who was the first human being created according to you? Adam. Who was Adam's wife? Eve. Where did Eve come from? So Adam slept with who? His daughter. So in other words, all of humanity is cursed and doomed because we are progeny of what? What is he going to say? What is he going to say? Nothing. No, that's different. So once you start opening up these doors and start speaking about this and that, what is and what isn't, you've lost the battle already. Make sense, Sheikh Muslim? Ma'qul? Make sense? So Allah says, وَجَادِلْهُمْ بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ. Allah says, debate with them in the best manner. And as we said before, وَجَاهِدْهُمْ بِهِ جِهَادًا كَبِيرًا. Allah says, fight them greatly with the Quran. Intellectually. And we said this before in Boonton, New Jersey, at the Quran conference. The sharpest sword is the sword of Islam, the sword of the Quran. But the sword is only as good as the one who wields it. The one who what? The one who wields it. It's no good if you don't know how to use it properly. And if it's used properly, it can cut through any batil. It will slice through any batil in half. Gone.
Case closed.
Period. Wallahu alam. Follow the Sheikh. So any questions from the sisters? If they feel comfortable saying them and writing them down, we're not ignoring the sisters. If there are any questions, now is the time. Follow.
I have a question concerning the setting up of the chairs in the ranks of the salat when we're making congregation salat. Some brothers we see will line the chair up with the brothers in the row, and then they will stand, placing them outside of the ranks. What's the correct procedure, inshallah?
We say in brief, with regards to prayer and chairs, standing up, sitting down, making ruku', what do you line the chair up with? We say that we have some issues that are clearly spoken about in the sunnah. We have other issues that haven't been spoken about in the sunnah. That which is spoken about in the sunnah, we take and we embrace, and we try our best to understand it. That which has not been directly addressed in the sunnah, then we go back to the principles of the sunnah. The principles of the sunnah. Not breaking the row. Doing the best that you can. Not leaving off that which you have the ability to do, etc. So we say, if a brother, or this issue is a very good question, is nothing other than a reflection of how we make salah. There are many things that we are very ignorant of, and we do them on a daily basis, unfortunately. The fiqh of the salah. And we said this before, if there's no other chapter of fiqh that you want to study in detail, and to try your best to master, except for the salah, that will be sufficient. You should learn as much as you can about the salah. You know the basics of that, now study salah for 10 years. So therefore, as far as the chair, then it's simple. You can put the chair, the quote-unquote, the hind legs of the chair, the last two legs of the chair, where the brother's heels are. Or a person could put the chair, the first two front legs of the chair, where the heels are. And when he stands up, his heels and the first two legs of the chair will be with the other brother's what? Heels. And when he sits down, he's not before the row, but he's right how he should be. It's easy and it is simple. The concept or the problem comes in when a person is lining up and he's praying, standing, and sitting. Now it gets a bit more technical. We say fair law to the best of your ability. Try the best you can. If you put the chair up front, you're gonna lose out on standing up, being in a row. You put it in the back, vice versa. So the sweeter of the two is bitter. Try your best. We don't have no direct hadiths that tell us how to place the chair, where to place the chair. So it's an issue of ijtihad. And it goes back to the principles of the sunnah. Try to make the row as straight as possible, as tight as possible. And the straightening of the row is to be with the heel. With the heel. And not necessarily with the toe. But with the what? With the heel. Everybody understand this? As Imam al-Bukhari rahimahullah ta'ala mentions in his Sahih, that Anas radiallahu anhu says, I saw a man putting his heel with his brother's heel. In Sahih al-Bukhari. And we all know that straightening the rows, the correct view is that it's mandatory. It's not recommended, but it's mandatory. As the opinion of Imam al-Bukhari and many others from the people of Hadith. And most of the fiqh madhab say that it's just recommended. Okay? Just to understand that. So if they say that it's only recommended to straighten the rows, then it's even more leniency with regards to the chair, standing, etc. So it shouldn't be no hardship. There shouldn't be no difficulty. Fear Allah to the best of your ability. Try your best to line up with the heels and pray according to the best way you know how. Wallahu a'lam. Hold on.
The Abu Dawood, is it based on mainly fiqh, the hadith in there, or?
Question says, the book of Imam Abu Dawood, is it mainly based upon fiqh, Islamic jurisprudence? Hopefully we'll mention in the next session in detail. I'll give you some examples, some immediate examples. We say yes. The main, in other words, brothers and sisters, each of these 6 mother books, they have that which is called a miza. And the miza is a highlight. a distinguishing point, something that separates the book from the other 5 books. Everybody understand this? They're all similar, but they have certain things in which they specialize in. Everybody understand this? But they're all what? Similar. But there's some things that you look for specifically in this book. And from those books is the book of Sunan Abi Dawood. Is that it is a book which is considered to be a luscious pasture for the faqih. The one who studies fiqh, who teaches fiqh, Sunan Abi Dawood is supposed to be his home. He's supposed to live in this book. Because it gives most of the hadiths about fiqh in a specific order. But there are other hadiths in Sunan Abi Dawood on adab. He has Kitab al-Ilm. He has the book of the Sunnah, talking about creed, as we mentioned before. And many other books that Imam Abu Dawood mentions in his Sunan. But the biggest benefit of Sunan Abi Dawood is for the faqih. Imam al-Bukhari, rahimahullah, has countless benefits, literally countless. But from the greatest of those benefits is the high grade of authenticity. Stainless steel. Doesn't rust, doesn't break. You can have it for a lifetime. Sahih Bukhari's book is solid. But there are other benefits as well, such as fiqh. Imam Muslim, it's a specific benefit that you're going to get from Muslim more than any other book. How he organized it, how he put the hadiths in one place together with the different narrations and so on and so forth. Sunan Abi Dawood, Imam al-Tirmidhi gives you the fiqh of the Salaf, gives you the Jarh wa Ta'dil, gives you the Madahib, gives you the different reports and all other benefits. And Tirmidhi's book is the most beneficial of the 6. At-Tirmidhi, rahimahullah's book is the most beneficial of the 6. Not the most authentic, not necessarily the best, but it is the what? It's the most well-rounded of all 6 books. Imam al-Nasai, rahimahullah, has a miza as well. And has the abundant amount of hadith al-ahkam, along with the ilm, the defective narrations, and many other things. And Ibn Majah, rahimahullah, Kathratul Zawaid, has abundant narrations that cannot be found in the other 5 books. Everybody clear on this? This is in brief. Hopefully in the next session we can really roll up our sleeves and say get down and dirty. Bismillah. Inshallah. For the sunnah. Wallahu alam. Fadl ya akhi.
What is the permissibility of the one who prays in the chair?
The permissibility of one who prays in a chair? We say you're going to pray in a chair for 1 or 2 reasons. Number 1, if you cannot physically pray standing. You cannot stand up. You cannot. And secondly, you can pray standing up, but it's a hardship. It's a difficulty. You can do it, but it's painful. It bothers your knee or bothers your hip. It hurts my back. I get an extreme pain in my mouth because of a toothache when I make ruku'. My legs are strong. My knees are fine. My back is fine. But my tooth, it hurts severely when I make ruku' or sujood. It throbs. It's now permissible to do what? Pray in a chair. The Prophet ﷺ said to Imran ibn Hussein, صَلِّ قَائِمًا فَإِن لَمْ تَسْتَطِعْ فَقَاعِدًا فَإِن لَمْ تَسْتَطِعْ فَعَلَى جَنْبٍ. And so Bukhari says, pray standing if you can't, sitting if you can't, then lying upon your side. And what's meant by فَإِن لَمْ تَسْتَطِعْ, if you cannot, what's meant by that? يعني إِلَّا بِمَشَقَّةٍ. There's a difficulty. And there are different levels of these things in the language of the fuqaha. We have incapability, I can't. And then we have I can, but it's what Abdul Haq, it's a what? A hardship. So it's also permissible to do what? Pray sitting down. Wherever your injury is. It can be in your foot. As we said, it can be in your mouth. Has nothing to do with your lower body. But it causes you hardship, it causes you pain. You can now what? Pray sitting down. Or your thumb. Operation on your thumb. I can't get up. I can't make ruku' properly. It hurts when I make sujood. You can pray sitting down. It doesn't mean that you're going to die if you what? Stand up. Wallahu alam. Fadl.